Thank you for coming to watch Dr. Smith's video today. We encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the alert button. That way you can get notifications when he uploads a new video. Thank you for coming today.
So we hope you take the time to hear and think about, and if you have a book, read in the book about the concept and the topics that we talk about. They have a lasting effect. The intent is not necessarily to treat pain, but to make permanent, long-term correction with your whole family and your friends.
Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and hit the alert button. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Okay, so today the topic is engaged attitude and expectations. And I'd like to start by quickly reviewing the concept from this handout from a few weeks ago on recommitting. Some of you got this handout. If you didn't get it, take one and pass it around. On the top portion of this handout is a general list of, I call software, that God gave to you at birth. Those parts of you that are fully automatic, like your vision, your heart, your digestion, your kidney function, your liver function, your immune system, all of those things that are given to you to help you survive. Now, back on the scale, 0 to 100. Survive means you're about 50%, or a little bit higher. In order to be healthy, you must go beyond that. You must choose to do certain things. The choice to do certain things is to align you with laws that have existed that are necessary for you to have good health. A lot of folks believe that they can violate the laws and not pay the consequences. Like, for example, going to bed on time. This week I've seen a couple of people who, when they ask the question, when do you go to bed? The answer has been, 12, 1, and they have different excuses to justify violating that law. The bad news is, one fellow I saw this week, early 40s, quite successful business person, very intellectual, a good father, a good husband, but he's violated that law alone. It is a bad enough violation that he will never be healthy. In fact, when I did my exam, he's going downhill. You know, we do the Ragland's test to see if you have reserve energy or if you're holding your own or going down. The more the blood pressure drops when you stand, the steeper the hill, the faster the going down. So I had to tell him, and I don't like to tell you things like I'm telling you, but I have to tell you, right now, you're going downhill. You have to make some major changes or you'll have more serious problems than he presented with. Sometimes people present with certain problems and they have other problems that are more severe, that are hurting them worse than the ones they come in for. Like, for example, some people come in with a sore neck and shoulder. They have a sore knee and sore low back. But at the same time, they have a major liver problem and a major digestive weakness that's causing them to develop health issues that will drain the bucket, will drain their energy and cause a lot of pain and suffering and probably early death. So the things on the bottom of that sheet are things that you have control over And you can choose to do or you can choose to not do. And as we talk about today on being engaged, many of you know things to do, but you're not doing them. And today, my hope is that I can prod you without the prod to get you to do a little more.
Without the batteries in it.
Yeah, there you go. Just
You have to have livestock to understand.
I'm glad you came. Did you bring your shocker? We can do a demo.
It comes in handy for teenage boys.
Exactly. Sold. Okay. Now, any comments on what I said to you? Would someone volunteer to be a reader today?
I can.
Okay,
You ready?
I'm ready.
We're on the true and false page. Yes. Okay. Number 1, having a physical body that is in God's image and likeness gives total justification to expect recovery and or resolution, at least to survival level, from injuries and or maladies.
False.
What?
False.
No, it's true.
I think it's true.
Totally true.
I have to reread it.
Underline the words total justification. Underline the word expect recovery. Why? Because on this, all of the things on this sheet.
Can I tell you why I said false?
Yeah.
Because I didn't finish reading it, but I just assumed having a physical body in God's image, I should be healthy all the time. That was what I was reading.
That's
But
what
my
I-
actions
that's
and
what
my
I got too.
agency
Justification.
make a difference. Yeah, that's
Well, I think it goes to faith. If you have enough faith, then you.
Well,
it goes.
but faith without actions is dead, right?
That's
So
why.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's why we're talking about this whole topic today.
Yeah.
And both of you are totally true. We'll talk about it more. But that answer is 100% true. So keep that in mind when you get sick, when you get very, very sick. Some of you've had COVID, you've been in bed, and you thought you were going to die. You probably hoped you were going to die because it was a bad day, right? And you said, I don't want to go on like this. I can't live like this. When you get in that situation, expect recovery. Having the expectation of recovery is better for you than a drug. It's better for you than nutrition. Having the faith, you use the word faith, having the faith gives you more power. Now, I just saw a young lady earlier this morning, 11 years old. She's 11 years old, and she told Deborah 2 weeks ago, I know I'm sick. Today, when I asked her what her main problem was, she said, I'm depressed. I said, how do you know you're depressed? She said, well, I cry a lot. I just cry. A lot. Why? I don't know. Well, she had some issues underlying, so we did a clearing because some of the issues are subconscious. Some of the issues she may not remember, but they're in there. They have a negative effect. And so she doesn't believe that she has the ability to heal. Now, will she get that belief? Yes, she'll get it. I know she will. But she will have to be taught. She'll have to be taught by someone who has total faith in that principle.
What's survival level again? You said it's 50%.
Less than 50%.
Less than 50%. So what are we talking as survival level? Like you can function and do everything you need to do, or
Pretty well.
pretty well. Okay.
So let's talk about that, okay? If we did a survey with you or 100 people, 1,000 people, and had them score themselves, okay? Where do you think you are on the scale of 0 to 100%? Most of them will score themselves higher than they really are. Why? Well, most people are generally optimists. Most people generally deny a lot of negative things that they're doing or not doing. So they're lower than they really are. So when I talk about health, I tell you over and over, just get a B, right? You don't need to be paranoid and be all wrapped up in doing everything perfect. In fact, if you are, that's a stress to you because you can't do that. And you said, if I'm in the image of God, I should be healthy all the time. No, that's not the design. The design is we're going to put them down there and give them all the gifts they need to survive. But in order for them to be healthy, they have to learn to be obedient. They have to learn to be obedient to real simple things, like going to bed on time, like eating, and like having
Drinking
faith
water.
and drinking water. I had a fellow this week who, that said, I used to drink Pepsi all the time. I didn't drink water for years, only Pepsi. Well, guess what? Now he's trying to remodel and rebuild, and he's making good progress, but how long is it going to take? Can you do it in a week, a month, a year, 2 years, 3 years? Well, if he does a lot of things right, by choice, in 7 years, it'd probably be better than it's been for 40 years. But he has to follow the rules. Are we all the way down to number 2?
My attitude has an enhancing effect either for the positive or negative. The choice is mine.
Circle the word attitude. Attitude is like a sword. We can swing it negative and make your body worse. Or we can swing positive and make everything better.
Number 3.
Pardon?
Number 3.
Go.
Focused thinking followed by focused behavior is engagement.
Now, when I first thought about this topic for this class, I looked up the word engaged. First thing, when a young couple decided to get married, they're focused. They made a decision. And now, if we talk about the military engagement, that means what?
In battle.
We are in battle. So, can you be engaged and not carry through? Yes. I had a friend who was engaged for 6 months, ready to be married to a young girl from Tree Mountain, Utah. The night before, she called him up and said, "You're the wrong guy." Well, he said, "Well, we've got all the arrangements, all the, everything's happening." And she said, "I won't be there."
Wow.
So you can disengage, okay? She disengaged at the right time. Now, I have a couple of sisters who, for lack of better words, married the wrong guys. And they stayed intertwined for a long time. And then they finally went their way and they raised their families with no spouse around. Tremendous stress on them because they made a bad choice. Let's go on.
When it is discovered that the effects of either thinking or doing brings about negative results, it is usually best to disengage.
True.
Being thankful for all or an attitude of gratitude always brings about betterment.
circle the word always.
Yeah.
Always. If you have the attitude, I'll give you an example from my son, Andy. He's a lawyer in Fort Collins.
No, Grand Junction.
Grand Junction.
Grand
Sorry.
Junction, Colorado.
In Colorado. He got COVID. And he got confined to his room for 2 weeks. He and his computer and telephone. He had an old, lingering, semi-problematic left knee injury that he worked on, never quite got it recovered. But during the 2 weeks of inactivity, his body said, "We'll fix it." So it fixed it. And when he came up to visit us, he said to me, "Dad, you should tell your people," that's you, that the body does tremendous healing when you don't abuse it. My knee is healed. I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah, I've tried it. I've done my stuff, and my knee is better." So, for what that's worth, those of you who have been down have probably had many things happen inside of your body that you don't know anything about that have improved because you didn't aggravate them. My wife, as an example, she had a big chunk of her transverse colon taken out, then another chunk taken out, and she's had digestive weaknesses ever since because of that. For 14 days, she didn't eat one bite of food. And now guess what? Her gut works better because it's like, closing the temple for 2 years. They're gonna remodel, they're gonna fix it up. So she's better now than she was before.
Number 6, true health is a gift that is earned by obedience to multiple eternal laws. The consequences of choices are always quickly apparent.
False.
It takes a while sometimes.
Give us an example.
Well, just bad eating. You think you've got the world by the tail, and pretty soon, bam, you don't.
Yeah.
Well, and your example you gave of your sisters is a prime example of that, because when they got married, they didn't think they were marrying the wrong guys.
That's right.
They made the choice and acted on it, and then over time became aware of the consequences.
Now this is hard. Number 8 is hard.
Choose. For me, the following are important in descending order: looks and appearance, finances, education, relationships, spirituality, health, family, home, car.
Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. Take your pencil. Put them in order. And just so you know, this is not a turn-in test.
One is most important.
One is most important. Do you have any?
I don't think so.
I've limited as your excuse.
Thank you.
You need to be honest.
It's just for you.
Oh, thank you.
Do we need to be honest? Of course. It's your eyes only.
Hey, this is not a joint effort.
Well, we only got one page.
You'd have two now.
I guess this was mine.
No peeking.
Okay.
It says, for me,
I get it done, I'm looking at it and going, oh no, wait, that should
Yeah.
probably be more important than that one.
That's why doing it on here is easier. Because I just had to move one.
It's a time test. You have another one more minute.
I hated that in school too, because then I think, should I change it? Should I change it? I have time.
I'm changing it.
Okay,
It might
Time's
change though the next day.
time.
I mean, in a year, this might change.
That's, you can do whatever you want.
In a
So-
month it could change.
So
You do?
now the question:
No, I said, just said in a month it could change it.
Oh, yeah.
how many of you had more than one number one?
Oh, we could have done that?
Well, I have arrows that could go either way. Like,
That's what I did too.
I have some arrows that could be, these two could be interchangeable depending on how you look at it.
Yeah,
Either or.
family and relationship tips.
Yes, that's my arrow. I got another one too, but yeah.
How many of you had your car first?
I didn't even dead
That's number 9.
That's the dead last. Mine's still blank on that one.
Mark was put pickup, you know.
Although, whenever you had to walk everywhere you went, especially in this weather, we might change around here about the car.
We'd be all in good shape.
Number
Then we could draw the
9.
lines to help with it there.
All right, number 9, sometimes the best action is no action, or the best reaction is no reaction. The rule of Thumper.
What is that? What is the rule of thumper?
I don't know.
Can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Now we're going to pause from the test for a few minutes. Have another handout. Some of you who've been here before have seen this handout. On my class earlier this week, one of the ladies in the class said, I got that handout last year, and to me it totally overwhelmed me. So I did nothing with it. So today, I'm going to try to help you not be overwhelmed with this project. What you have in your hand is a tool. The tool is like a hammer or a saw. You can use it or you can not use it. It's up to you. You can use it often, never. It's all up to you. But today I'm going to help you understand exactly how to use it and why it will benefit you if you do use it. So starting with box number 1 in the upper left hand side. This is another engagement for you to do right now. Write down a few things in each category. This is a triangle, remember? Mental, emotional, spiritual. What you're doing right now, routinely, over the last month, to help you add or gain life, health, and energy. Think of this category like you would a hose going into a bucket, filling the bucket up with energy. We're trying to fill it up. So you have 3 categories. The structure is divided into bones, nerves, muscles, joints, ligaments. The key is at the bottom. Anything you're doing right now to help that portion of your triangle. It's kind of like Judgment Day when they say, well, so tell me what you've been doing. That's good. Why should I let you in? And you say, well, here's my list. I've been doing this stuff.
I've been obedient.
At least for that part, all right? Take a few minutes. And if you want to fill it out, and when the class is over, you want to get a blank one to use at home, you can do that. some of the things you put on there will be very small and simple. Some will be things that are quite significant. Okay, now they have a couple of things in each category. Do you need more time? You okay, Betty? Now we'll go to box number 2. Box number 2 is exactly the opposite. Box number 2 represents the holes in the bucket. Things that are currently stressful to you, that are draining you from draining your life, health, and energy. In each of the categories, write a few things. Sometimes they can be included in more than one category. It'd be both mental and chemical. Or list as many as you can in each of the categories. Another way to look at what we're talking about is we could compare this to a garden. Box number 1 is your current flower garden. You have a lot of stuff in the garden, different kinds of flowers. Box number 2 are weeds of different kinds. You have many different kinds of weeds that are cut in your garden. Then we go to box number 3. Box number 3 is, think of box number 3 as flowers that you bought. They're in your garage. You haven't planted them yet. You don't have any space. You don't know where to put them. These are things that you want to do. You thought about it. You learned about it. You should do, but you haven't done it yet. Like buying roses for your wife for Valentine's Day.
I'm the only guy here, so I'm wondering why that's correct.
I was just hinting.
I was just writing, get my tasks completed, as you said that.
Be specific.
And we're working on box number 3.
Box number 3.
In the number 2 area.
No,
Oh, in the number 3 area.
only number 3. These are things you want to do, you should do, you could do. My wife said, well, I said to my wife, one of your famous phrases is, I was gonna. This is the I was gonna box. I had planned to do that.
I know of somebody who says that all the time.
When she asked me what I've done it, I said, well, I'm just in the act of it. I'm just beginning. I'm still in the thinking stage. The planning. Okay, now.
You're supposed to tell her about the compartmentalized brain function of the male versus female.
The difference.
It's in my box.
Yeah, it's in the box. It's in the box. Okay, now, those of you who are saying the phrase routinely, I am getting better and better every day in every way. The bad news is if you're really doing that and your subconscious believes you, you will continually have new ideas that come to you want to put in that box. The universe will send to you by the Holy Ghost, by you reading a book, by you talking to a friend, either by coming to class, by some way get another idea. You can add it to that list. Okay, now that's how you fill out the list. Now, the list being filled out does you no good unless you put it to use. So right now, I'm going to tell you how to make this extremely valuable to you. This will change your life if you do it. Go to box 2, look at the whole list, pick something out on that list that would be easy to either start doing or stop doing. You want to change that, you want to eliminate that stress. We'll call that a weed. Now go to the box number 3. Pick something out in box number 3 that would be very easy for you to begin to implement. Circle, circle, draw a line to connect what you circled in box 2 with what you circled in box 3. Got it? Now, why did we do that? We did that back to the garden. The garden's full. Most of the time you don't start do things because you don't have time, you don't have energy, you don't know how you're going to fit it in. It's going to infringe, it's going to change your life some way. So what we do, again, back to the garden, we're going to go to the garden, we're going to pull out a weed, it's easy to pull out. We're going to then plant a flower. Boom. Now we've made that switch. Now, next time we fill out this sheet, we're now doing the one that we said we were going to do, so it can be moved up to box number 1. Does that make sense? Now, that's a tool. That's how you use it. How you use it, how often you use it, is up to you. Do any of you have any questions about what we just talked about?
I believe that page is in the book, so if you have the book, you can copy the page and do it again and again and again.
Now, some of the things on your box number 2, we've used the word disengaged. Some of the issues, some of the stress you have in your life, the best way to deal with it is not make a decision. That's been bugging me for a long, long, long time. And I've decided, could be something that your spouse does, or your spouse doesn't do, or one of your kids, or one of your neighbors. If it's a dog, shoot it. Just kidding.
So just make a decision that it's not going to bother you anymore? That's what you're
make the
saying?
decision. Change your mind. I remember one day I got in the car with my dad, and I drove his car. He sat down in the passenger seat, opened his glove compartment, took out a pair of yellow glasses. He put them on, and he said, "You look goofy with those yellow glasses." And he said, "Yes, but let me tell you, the whole world looks better." That's why I wear them. the whole world looks better when I put these glasses on. I thought,
Rose colored glasses.
yellow lens.
I remember him with those yellow glasses, so he did that for a long time.
He did, yeah. Okay, number 10.
Being sick enough to be forced to bed for a few weeks has positive potential when processed properly.
True.
11.
I choose to what? I choose to use. Got it. I choose to use the stress release worksheet. How often, ladies and gentlemen?
Use it weekly.
Always in mind.
It's up to you.
Whether you actually use the sheet or just do it yourself, in your mind.
Okay, let me talk to you about that. Yale University did a study a long time ago. And it was all about the value of writing things down. The study included several hundred students over like 50 years, a long term. And the people who had goals that were written down accomplished most of them. The people who had goals that were not written down had accomplished almost none. So when you think, oh, I don't need to take the time to write it down, you can make that decision. You can do it in your head if you want. But if you take the time, I recommend you make copies, put it in a binder, and if you use it every month, every week, but keep them. If you did this worksheet one time a month for 5 years, how many times is that?
5 times 60.
60 times. You'll have 60 sheets. If you did that, in 5 years, you would go back and you'd say, oh, it's a mess. Or I've come a long ways. And what you would find is you would find new ideas, new thoughts. Your positive behavior would be longer. And when you got to heaven, you could say, here's my resume.
Is that like keeping a journal?
That's what it is. It's an itemized journal of your current active behavior. And like you said earlier today, when you fill that with the order, that could change. Hopefully it does.
It also declutters your mind if you write it down because, I mean, for example, you make a grocery list and then don't take the list to the grocery store with you and you're trying to remember everything. You're gonna forget half of it once you're in the grocery store, once you write it down, or all your to-do list.
Unless you go through every aisle and
Yeah.
okay, that's
Write it
fine.
down and then you're not having that added stress of trying to remember everything. So there's benefit that way too.
And my wife likes to order online so she doesn't do any impulse buying.
I taught her that. Instacart.
One of Deborah's lines to me was, Dad, just buy what's on the list. Okay, number 12.
That's not much fun.
I am getting better and better every day in every way has more effect on me when I believe it more and engage in the ideas that come to me.
Okay, I'd like to talk for a moment about the word when I believe it more. In the book, my book, it says, the greater your belief in the truth, the what? Anybody know that? What it said?
Better.
No, the more it will happen.
The more power it has. The more power it has, the greater your belief in it. And if you do this, worksheet, and you say the phrases, you get the ideas, and then you engage in them, This becomes the proof that your belief motivates you and speeds up your progress.